Today on Keeping It Real.
We are talking about a very important topic, human trafficking, and our next guest, Lisa Arnold, is here. She is director, producer, and writer, and she is here to talk about their new movie called Cage No More.
New Orleans is hugely at risk. Hammond is greatly at risk. So, we need to get these people. So,
The movie is just really life-changing because it really does open your eyes to what human trafficking is, and as you said, it really gives you an opportunity to kind of get that conversation started.
Kristen Maddox overcame a 12-year addiction. Now she pulls others out knowing that some have escaped death for the last time. Shauna Butler understands the pain of sexual abuse. Now she uses her voice to unhush the little girls inside of women she counsels. This is Keeping It Real.
Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to Keeping It Real. I'm Kristen Maddox.
And I'm Shauna Butler.
And I want you to know that you're tuning in today not by coincidence, but I believe that God has a message that He wants to get across, and you're tuned in today to hear that message and what it is. And we are talking about a very important subject today, human trafficking. You know, human trafficking is an underground organization or business, whatever you want to call it, where women are literally lured into what I call a modern day slave. It's really slavery, Shauna.
Exactly.
And it often has to do with sex against their will. And did you know that Baton Rouge ranks one of the top 10 cities in the United States? The top 10. Right here in your own backyard. And you know, if you are watching today, you may be a teenager, you may be a teacher, you may be a parent, you may be a pastor. You're tuned in today because what we are talking about is happening right here today, and it's such an important message that we get across because, you know, we think of, you know, people against their will, rape a lot of times. Childhood sexual abuse, we deal with that a lot here on Keeping It Real. But when you are forced over and over again to have sex against your will in what people are really making money off of, it is literally billion-dollar underground business that's happening. And, you know, Shauna, I remember one time when I was in the jail and I was ministering one time, there was a young lady there, and she was pretty young, probably I would say 18 or 19, and she shared her story with me, and she just had a heartbreaking story where her father had actually sold her to her uncle for $20 for drugs, and she was devastated. And by the age of 13, she even said that her dad would burn her with cigarettes to try to make her do things that she didn't want to do. And by the age of 13, she had ran to the streets just to escape the abuse that she was undergoing. And just that she had even the courage to share that story, but she was in jail. And of course, we were there to come alongside of her and to minister to her. And Door of Hope is really a point of contact. You know, you may be watching and you may have been on the internet talking to someone that you don't know. I want to warn you that it's dangerous. It's very dangerous, and you could be lured into something and maybe not even realize it.
Right. And you know, Kristen, that story reminds me so much of a screening that we saw of a movie called Cage No More that's coming out in January, I think January the 22nd. And so, and I know our next guest that's going to be coming on after commercial break, her name is Lisa Arnold, and she's the director of that movie. She's also a producer and a writer. And so I'm so excited to introduce our audience to her. So stay tuned because we're going to meet Lisa Arnold and learn more about Cage No More when we return.
What kind of person would sell their own child?
It's just hard, I think, for Americans in general to believe that this is going on in our country, in our states, in our neighborhoods, maybe even next door.
Lately I don't recognize you. The fire in your eyes is fading into ember.
You do know that he's going to try and sell
So
her.
while you're out there,
Get him to Lincoln, no matter what.
in the darkness,
Think I'll make more than last time? She's younger for sure.
praying you'll remember.
I'll do whatever it takes to get my girls back.
So will I.
You were made to shine. You were made for life. Even if you've lost your way, turn and you will hear love say, so baby, burn bright.
I know how scary this must be for you. We're not alone in this, Miss Aggie.
Now, please, you have got to try and believe me, because my Elle is still out there, and we gotta go get her back. Today is the day.
In Greece, everything is done through a relationship.
How am I gonna get to them if I don't know where they are? Save them! I need your help. My girls need your help.
Let's get Sky. Sky could be anywhere.
Lord, please deliver my children from evil.
This is humanity at its worst.
Run, Ellie, run!
And what if it was Madison? Would you not move heaven and earth together?
Daniel, come on!
Millions are still waiting to be rescued. Waiting for all of us to say no more.
Welcome back to Keeping It Real, and thank you for tuning in today. We are talking about a very important topic, human trafficking, and our next guest, Lisa Arnold, is here. She is director, producer, and writer, and she is here to talk about their new movie called Cage No More. And Lisa, we're excited to have you here. We're excited to walk alongside of you and really to support the work that you guys are doing. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about Film Incito and what the mission is?
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for supporting this type of movie. I know human trafficking is not one you initially say, oh, I want to see a movie about that.
Right.
So we appreciate everybody coming on board and seeing the bigger picture. But at Film Incito, it's a company that my business partner and I started, Jerry Coates, and our purpose of that company is to make films with a greater purpose. So we look for scripts that inspire, that encourage, that challenge us in a positive way. There has to be something greater beyond the screen, whether it's a ministry or a mission, in this case, a movement, you know, so it has to be something that it just means more. We definitely want to make a movie that entertains. That's always the filmmaker's, you know, mission. But we want to go beyond that too and have a greater purpose for the kingdom. And normally we do faith and family films. This one is a little out there because it's about human trafficking. But we believe that it's the church's place to lead in that fight against human trafficking. So, and we're calling all churches to be a part of this. You know, if Chad Veach, I don't know if you know, pastor of Zoe Church in LA, he tweeted the other day, if you're going to take your youth group to one movie in 2016, make it Cage No More. And it's because we've got to start educating our youth about the dangers of human trafficking. And we have to start having those conversations in the home with our children. I mean, 10 years ago, I never would have thought about having that conversation with my own daughter. But today, it's the fastest growing crime in the world. It has surpassed the drugs. It's in our face and it's everywhere. So those conversations have to happen, and we're just kind of using this film, even though it's a fictitious story, we're using it to get the word out. We've got true statistics in the movie. It is a compelling story, but there's a huge call to action at the end, which really ignites our audiences to want to rise up and do something about it and make a difference in the fight.
Right, and I think that's one of the things, too, that sets this movie apart is because it is cause-based. It's cause-based. And can you tell our viewers a little bit about what they can expect with Cage No More?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it does have a faith element. So those of you who are always looking for that in the movie, definitely our lead character, Aggie, who is played brilliantly by Loretta Devine, who we all know. And she is a strong woman of faith. Her goddaughters get taken, and she basically risk everything and doesn't let anything stop her to find them. And she believes that God is going to deliver them out of their harm. So she stands on that rock, she stands on that faith, and she gets out of the boat and walks when she sees no path whatsoever, right? Because she's just a woman. She really has no clue, and they've been taken to Greece. So talk about something that's out of your hands, but she completely stands in faith that entire time. But it takes you on a journey of human trafficking and what's happening and how it's happening and what these victims go through in a sense. But the most important thing I want you to understand is that we carefully crafted this script so that things are suggested, they are not shown. So a parent can take their 13, 14, 15-year-old to this movie. It's a non-threatening way to introduce them to human trafficking, what it's about, and then you can go home and say, this is real, and we need to talk about that. We need to talk about you being on social media. We need to talk about who you're making contact with, you know, the dangers of it, how they can get to you, how you know you're being targeted. We made our girls in the movie 14 and 17. Usually Hollywood makes them more like 19 and 21. The truth is that girls 11 to 14 are greatest at risk, and boys 10 to 13. So that's hard to fathom, and we didn't think our audience could take that because you're talking about a child before they even go through puberty or taken for sexual crimes. So it's so heartbreaking. So we did age them a bit, but we tried to keep it as real as possible. And not to say that college students are not at risk. They're at risk. I mean, even I was approached in Chicago, and I'm 50, and I was approached by a foreign man and just trying to compliment me. And that's what they do, and so many times they try and find a vulnerable single woman or girl by themselves, and that's their target. And if they can get them to look away and engage and you know like what they're hearing, then they know that that's their catch. And they will take advantage of that.
And it's so easy to fall into that trap, you know, looking at the movie and seeing how everything happened. But I really appreciate that y'all made it where my friends can take their 8-year-old daughters to see it, and they can be able to explain to them what happened within the movie. I love that.
Well, it was our mission, and we're like, I mean, we're just filmmakers. So how do you use your gifts and talents to make a difference, and especially in something like this? So it was our mission to make it more of a family movie, and I know that sounds odd, but we've got to somehow introduce them to this so we can start the prevention, because with it being the fastest growing crime in the world, that's really our only great chance to fight it, is if we can just educate our kids. If somebody comes up to you, you look them straight in the eye. You disengage with them immediately, you know? So we really have to start empowering our kids so that they can understand what's out there and what's going on.
And I would definitely challenge churches to definitely get your youth groups involved and let them go on a trip together and go and see this movie, because it is needed for every organization that deals with kids to bring them. You know, don't just send them, but bring them to go and see the movie.
This is the crazy thing, because we have almost 600 anti-human trafficking organizations that are partnering with us to get it out across the nation in theaters. And now churches are coming on board as well. So our churches are pouring into this as well. And so we've got a challenge out. It's called the 500 Freedom Challenge. Basically, to get this movie into a theater in your area, there has to be 500 pre-sold tickets. So we're encouraging anybody on social media, if you know somebody you can call out, a pastor of a church or somebody who's over an organization or somebody who works with teenagers, you challenge them to do that, to somehow put together an army so that they can get the 500 pre-sold tickets, because the more people that see this movie, the greater the conversation will grow and the better difference we can make.
So that's in the city, per state, or what is that? Do you know?
It's kind of scattered all over, but basically it's per market. So say if you want it to come to Baton Rouge, then you've got to get a group together that can pre-sell 500 tickets, and that gets it into a theater run here, so that it will be here for weeks. So not only your group can see it, but then word of mouth spreads, and more people can see it. And we just want to, especially the moms out there, I want to encourage you to bring your kids to this. This is a great opportunity for you to lay it out, to educate them, not so much to scare them, but to really educate them on the dangers, you know? So start that conversation.
I was thinking, Kristen and I, we were talking about the statistics, and you know, we're here in Denham, but Baton Rouge is just right across the bridge.
Right.
And one of the statistics was Baton Rouge is ranked in the top 10 cities in the nation. In the nation.
Cities,
And you would
not
think-
states.
Yeah.
Cities.
And you would think it would have to be a bigger city than this to be that dangerous, right? Or a port city. And, well, I'll have to say, I mean, I completely admit, 3 years ago, I had no idea human trafficking was even happening in the U.S. When this project came to me, I thought it was a third world country offense.
Right.
And when I started talking with the writer of the novel, it's like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, this is everywhere. This is in Hammond, Louisiana. This is everywhere. And she's like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, obviously now things are trending. People are understanding that it is everywhere, and we're all, you know, getting used to the idea that it's here, but people still don't understand it's in your own backyard.
Exactly.
They think it's only happening in Atlanta and Houston and bigger cities. And no, it's right here. And it doesn't matter if you have money, if you don't have money, if you're educated, if you're not educated.
Right.
One of our investors' daughter was targeted in Destin, Florida on family vacation at the age of 12.
Wow.
They had to call in the FBI.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? Well, I'm glad that this movie is starting the conversation for us here. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk some more with Lisa about Cage No More when we return.
Hi, I'm Lisa Arnold, director and producer of Cage No More, and I want to encourage you to watch Keeping It Real. This is a program that means to inspire, to encourage, to challenge all of us to a better life. They are supporting all the organizations that are making a difference here in our community, so be sure and check it out.
Today, girls will die as a result of drug overdose, domestic violence, and even suicide. It doesn't have to end like this. There is hope. A Door of Hope provides free services to girls and women who are stuck in a vicious cycle. If you or someone you know needs help, call today, 225-665-HOPE, or visit our website at adoreofhopela.com.
Welcome back to Keeping It Real. We are here with Lisa Arnold. She is the producer and director of Cage No More, and this movie is really a cause-based film that is helping in the fight against human trafficking. And Shauna and I both, Lisa, had an opportunity to come and view the screening, and the movie is just really life-changing because it really does open your eyes to what human trafficking is. And as you said, it really gives you an opportunity to kind of get that conversation started when you see these two girls. And I don't want to give the movie away,
Right,
but
exactly.
it's just amazing.
Well, and we worked really hard on that, but it's been so exciting to be on this side of the project. You know, we filmed last year in Baton Rouge and Athens, Greece, and New York, and went through post-production for 8 months. So now we're at the point where we're doing the VIP screenings before the release, and it's so great to be in the theater with the audience and see how they're taking it. And you know, you think there would be no humor in a movie about human trafficking, but didn't we all laugh at Loretta Devine?
Yes.
Like, she's so funny in this movie.
Yes.
So I so appreciate that as the director. I was like, how wonderful that she brought some joy to this, you know. But it's because she trusts in the Lord above everything,
Right.
and she won't let her joy be shaken,
That's
no
right.
matter what she's facing. So that was exciting to see. And then they cry out loud, they gasp several times.
Right.
And one of the audiences, I think it was in Nashville, literally people were yelling out "no" at one point, you know, and then when it turned around, they cheered, you know, and I mean, several standing ovations. We're extremely grateful, but you know, I think it's unsettling when you get to the end of it and you have to absorb it. But I think the call to action that's right after that, it's like that empowering moment.
Right.
Hey, we can make a difference in this, you know? And yes, the most important thing is to go home and have a conversation, whether you're a parent, a grandparent, do that. But secondly, we all have influence through social media. So instead of tweeting about where we went for dinner, we can tweet that statistic. You want to shape your community, that statistic should shake them. And yes, it's coming to the Baton Rouge area, but there needs to be a lot more people than 500 see this movie here in this area.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, New Orleans is hugely at risk. Hammond is greatly at risk. So, I mean, we need to get these people. So, youth groups, get to the theater. Women's groups, get to the theater, you know, and encourage each other, you know, and so we can start that conversation and let that social media just explode so that people will stop, you know, some people just are not aware. You've got to make them aware, and then they'll care.
Exactly.
And then they'll want to make a difference. And then all these anti-human trafficking orgs that have partnered with us, we know exactly where they are. So if you see one that's in Baton Rouge, you can go, oh, now I can resource them. Now I can give volunteer time to them. You know, I can make a difference in the fight.
Right. I was going to say, when you were talking about tweeting, I know my daughter's in the studio today, and we know that teenagers can get things out there really quickly. You know, Instagram.
And they can be so passionate about it, too.
All they have to do is post, and it's going here, there, and everywhere. So I'm challenging her today to tweet about it and put it on Instagram and challenge her friends to keep posting it.
And if you put hashtag in front of Cage No More, so hashtag Cage No More, it hooks to all of our social media that we keep up with. So your tweets will be right there with Kendall Jenner and Kathy Lee Gifford and all these wonderful people. And we should talk about the cast. Can we just talk just for a moment? Because let me just say, we have the most phenomenal cast. And as a director, you hope that actors are going to embrace your project. But I have to say, I was so overwhelmed. When I got to Hollywood, to LA to cast, my casting director was getting calls from very well-known actors, trying to get off of sitcoms, trying to get off of dramas, trying to make a way that they could be a part of this film because of the cause, because of what it can do. And so we have the beautiful Loretta Devine in it. We have Kevin Sorbo, so Hercules, and he plays a good guy and a bad guy, and is just awesome in it. And Cassidy Gifford, who is Kathy Lee Gifford's daughter, plays one of our girls that's taken and does the most phenomenal job. Now, this girl, to begin with, was probably only 100 pounds. She lost like 20 pounds for this part because she felt like that was what was needed. She took it so seriously. And a matter of fact, she wasn't supposed to be cast in the first place. She missed the casting. I had already cast it. Then things fell through with that actress. And Cassidy had written me the most heartbreaking email, you know, fighting for this role and just why she felt compelled to do it. Because when she was 14, her mom had taken her to a dream center in LA, and she had met a girl who was her same age, blonde hair just like her. They looked just alike, and yet Cassidy was from such, you know, love and support and wealth, and this girl had been trafficked at the age of 12. And she never got over that it can be that easy, that it can be that, you know, one person's life can be so blessed and another person's can be absolutely taken from them in a moment. And from that moment on, she's felt compelled to be in this fight. And we have Anthony Evans, who is Pastor Tony. Okay, he's my adopted son. Hi, Anthony. I love him.
Me too. I love his music.
Yes, and then Alan Powell, who was the lead on the song, and he's also one of the singers in Anthem Lights. And then we have great cameos from Natalie Grant, from Kathy Lee Gifford, Gretchen Carlson, Governor Bobby Jindal, who's done a lot to fight trafficking in the state. So give him a hands up for that. I mean, more than a lot of politicians have done. So we're so grateful for him. I'm so impressed with our cast. So I'm grateful. And these Greek actors, ladies, I gave you a little candy. It may be a movie about human trafficking, but you're going to enjoy the ride. Our hero's not gorgeous. Yes. So, and so talented.
Yes, and the movie comes out when?
Okay, so the movie will be in theaters January 22nd. So now is the time to challenge your friends to get in a group, get those pre-sale tickets, because we're booking theaters now.
And so they need to hashtag Cage No More
on all social media. And then if they want to partner with us, go to CageNoMoreMovie.com. and then click on the partnering space and just fill that out. And then our marketing team out of Nashville, which they're amazing, they will contact them. They line up the theater. They do all the hard work for you. All you have to do is get the group together to come. So we have anywhere from churches to orgs, supporting this, but we also have parents who are saying, you know what, I'm going to buy out a theater and I'm taking my son's 11th grade class. So be creative. It's not that much to buy out a theater, honestly.
That's actually a great
I was just
idea.
saying that. Like even, because if it's coming out in January, the kids are going back to school again.
Yes.
And I know at the end of the school year, they do a lot of field trips. So
Yeah.
this would be good for a teacher
Right.
to do, to take her
Right.
kids to go and see.
I know.
Yeah. So somebody needs to start the challenge on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook.
It's
challenge
coming
the
out.
teachers
It's
to
coming
do
out
that.
next week. So
Really?
yeah. So as you see it, and we have Cage No More on Facebook, or you can find me on Facebook or Film and See. We're all over the place. But yeah, find us and start following us, and then just start help us get the word out and help challenge. But yeah, put that challenge out to them and get everybody involved.
Right, because it's one thing people love is a challenge. If you make it a challenge, they'll do it.
Right. Or call somebody out to do it.
Exactly.
We
Yeah,
all
that's a
love
great
that.
idea.
Yeah,
Somebody can start that.
So you can bet if you're an old pastor of mine, you're going to be getting a challenge from me.
And so Cage No More will actually have a sequel on it.
It is. It's a trilogy.
Yes.
So where in the first one we address that human trafficking is happening. The second one will take a closer look at what happens to the victim once she's rescued, and the mental games that go on, and the restoration, and all of that. So it's kind of a psycho thriller on the second one, and then the third one is a huge blowout in South Africa. We can't wait for that one. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's exciting, and I'm so glad that y'all are doing that, because like we see the girls here, once they're out of the abuse, it's still going on inside of their heads.
Right.
It's always a process.
That's what we hear from all the organizations. They're like, people will give money for the rescue because that's the flashy part of it. But the restoration is the hard part. And you can't just pour into these girls for 6 months. Not even a year.
Right.
You need to go. I mean,
It's lifetime.
It is.
It really
And
is.
the resources need to be there to help them,
Exactly.
Otherwise they go back to the brokenness and to what they trusted because they,
That's what's familiar.
It is. It's that dysfunction.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, we just want to thank you so much for coming on and
thank you,
sharing about
ladies.
Cage No More. We're challenging everybody, get on social media, challenge people to go and see it, to get tickets,
Yeah, partner
500
with
or
us
more.
at CageNoMoreMovie.com.
Right. So thank you so much. And if you or anyone you know need help, please call A Door of Hope Ministry. The number is on the line, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Do you have a story? Send your personal story to info@adoorofhopela.com for a chance to be selected as a guest on the morning talk show, Keeping It Real.
Thank you to our sponsors. If you'd like to help sponsor the show Keeping It Real, please call 225-665-4673. That's 225-665-4673.